What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be showing you how to change your water pump on a 350 Chevy. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do is get a screwdriver or a small wrench and loosen any of these clamps right here. Now, as you can see, mine has just this hose connected to it, and one down here at the bottom. I don't know if you can see what's in there. That larger one right up in there, going straight to it. And they should be pretty easy to disconnect. So you'll just take your screwdriver. You should be able to get it right in there, and it should turn really easy. These things do not stay on tight. If it's on pretty tight, then it might be rusted, and you might want to spray with some WD-40 first. Or it might have some grime in there, in which case you're probably going to still want to spray it with some WD-40, because that'll just make the undoing process much easier. Alright, now that you got that undone, go ahead and take it, slide it up the pipe, and try to wiggle that off. Little turning helps too. And you can see mine is a little ripped, but still works fine. For me, I do not recommend you use a ripped hose, and you're going to get water everywhere. That's a given. Unless you drain it first, and I'm not really that smart. Alright, now we're going to be here on the dirty ground with this water dripping all over me. And we're going to want to undo this clamp right here. You can see that's connecting up into my water pump. Right up in there. Just a little word of advice. You might want to push your fan up or down so you can get your screwdriver to reach up in there. Alright, once you've got that undone, you're going to want to grab the clamp and wiggle it down so it's out of the way there. Sorry, I'm holding the phone, so this is kind of hard for me to do. Then you're going to pull your hose, which is going to be kind of hard to get off. Actually, thinking about this now, I'm going to actually leave this hose on here, so that way when I take the alternator off, then this belt's not going to be in my way, as well as the alternator bracket. It'll be much easier to get off. So now we're going to be taking off the water pump and the alternator. Now, you're going to want to look for the locations where the water pump bolts up to your heads, and down here onto your water pump. This is the power steering pump, my bad. Anyways, you're going to want to look for the parts where your power steering pump bolts up to the water pump right down there, and then right here on the head. And for the alternator, it's pretty much the same process, except you have two bolts bolting up to your water pump right here and here, and then one large one that goes straight into the engine. Now, this is very crucial. You do not want to lose this bolt, because it's very hard to, it's not really very hard to come by, but it's made for the bracket, so you really don't want to lose it. But it does go all the way through the pump into the engine, and you're going to want to make sure you don't lose this little spacer piece, because that's keeping all your pulleys straight. And yes, I know mine's not straight. There's something wrong with my actual fan pulley. But no, I bought this tool set from Walmart. It was super cheap, and you can do almost the entire job with just this little tool set right here, and you can see it. So anyways, the only piece that's missing from this set is an Allen wrench that is large enough to take this bracket off. And for that, the only thing that I've seen so far bigger than my set, which my dad has, is this Craftsman. And if we go down to the larger tools down here, he actually has a couple Allen sets that fit into it nicely. This largest one right here, it's a 5/16. In case you already have it and you were wondering, 5/16 will fit into that just perfect. After you got these two bolts loose, should be able to just hand untighten them. There's one out. You can see right there. And once you take one out, it's actually going to put some more tension on the other. So you might want to grab your wrench and stick that right back down in there. Unless you have a lot more finger strength than I do. But that's not saying much, because I don't have very much. Alrighty, we got the second bolt out. You can see there's two open spaces right in there. And next thing we're going to do is take this Allen out. Now, I know not everyone's Chevy engine is set up like this. Mine has the bare minimum because, well, you know, I'm going to be honest with you. I did not build this car. I just bought it from someone. But I did take the cam out, replace that, and we're currently trying to get it timed and the fuel and air ratio set up good together so that way I can actually drive it. I'm just trying to show you the general area you're going to be looking for in all these spots to take these parts off. Now, once you get your Allen wrench in there, it's going to take a while. Shouldn't be too hard to get loose, but it will take a while to spin this thing around. So I'll be right back with you when I got it out and loose. Alright, and for this next part, you're going to want to make sure you have two hands. Take your belt off, set it to the side, pull up your alternator just a little bit. Oh man, this is just great. Okay. And you still can't see it. Fantastic. There we go. Hopefully it's nice. Alright, you can kind of see. Pull up your alternator a little bit and hand unscrew that bolt. Once you got it out, make sure you don't lose this spacer on the very back. Try to keep that all together so that way you don't lose any of it. I'm just going to put it off to the side for now. And there you have it. You got your alternator off your water pump. And I highly recommend putting these bolts down into the spots they go in. But I'm an idiot. And last time I put this thing on, I actually threaded my ground wire through my power wire. And it's kind of hung up over here on whatever the hell this is. So it's just going to sit like this until I can get this off the water pump. And I'll show you how to do that later. The reason I can't right now is because I don't have a wrench with me to actually put on the back of this to take it off. So I'd have to take this pulley off in the fan first, but we're doing that anyways, so it shouldn't be too much of a hassle. Alright, and I'm trying to do my best to get you guys a good angle, but the next thing we're going to be taking off is this bolt right here, and you can tell that it's connected to the heads right there. And while you're taking this off, you want to make sure you don't lose that spacer either, because it is very important. I mean, if you actually have one. I actually had to do this water pump, or this power steering pump, that's right. I had to do this power steering pump custom from some other thing because my old one, that it was using an alternator bracket, and that alternator bracket was bad. So, like, it cracked where it was set up at, and it was only held on by one thing. So I went down to my grandpa's and we got this, and it honestly hasn't done me wrong the entire time I've had it. I haven't used it much, but it's pretty good. I mean, it feels just exactly the same as the last one I had. So I figured shouldn't be too bad, because I'm not really sure what I had on it in the first place. And you probably just saw that I was turning it the wrong way the whole time, which is why it wouldn't come off. After you get it loose, it should be pretty easy. Might even be able to hand uncrank it. Alright, now that we got that bolt out, I'm going to try and get this washer out, or this spacer. But I'm actually going to try and get that out before I take the next bolt out, because I don't want it to fall on the ground and get lost down there. And this is a bit of a hassle, but I want to make sure I keep track of this before I have to worry about anything else. And you really shouldn't do anything that you see me doing. I'm just not that smart. There we go. Almost lost it, but I only took this off because I'm not smart enough to keep track of things myself. So, now we're going to move on to the next bolt, which is right there. And I only have two holding it on because this other bracket right down here, I don't have a bracket to go into the head for, so it just sticks down here. Now, once you got that bolt loose, you're actually going to want to have two hands, because you're going to need one to put on this water pump, or this shit. Oh, man. you're going to want to have one to put on this power steering pump just by itself, because that case is not very strong, and if it falls it may break. And now my phone's not focusing. Oh my goodness. Okay, there we go. But yeah, you're going to want to have two hands on this just so it doesn't fall. I'm going to set you guys up right here. Alright, take that off. Should be able to do that by hand now. Let's take this belt off, make it much easier if I can get it off. There we go. Alright, should be able to take this off now. I'm turning it the wrong way, of course I am. Alright, oh shit, thankfully my belt caught that. Put that bolt up to the side. Take this off. And I actually just set this right over where you guys are right now. Right there, just like that. Okay, in hindsight, I probably should have took the fan off first, because now, yeah. So, I got 4 bolts on the front that are all 1/2 inches, and that is a problem. But what I'm thinking is I might be able to just put this belt on the front here, line it up down with the bigger pulley on the bottom, and pull on it. Now, I'm not sure if you guys can see over there, but basically what I'm doing is I'm putting this on the fan pulley and the larger bottom pulley, taking a wrench, actually undoing these. That seems to be working pretty well. Now, this is all just, I'm making this a lot harder for myself than you guys should. Really, you should take this off, but it's too much of a hassle for me, so I just don't do it. Alright, so you're going to want to get 3 of those 4 bolts able to be untightened by hand, and I'll show you why in just a moment. Well, I guess you really don't have to get 3 loose and out first, but in my experience, it's a lot easier to turn 1 bolt than, well, 4 of them. So, I'm not sure why my camera's so dark. It's kind of weird. There we go. Maybe you guys can see better now, but I'm just getting that last bolt undone. This thing is being stubborn. If I can get this thing to stay in place, wow. There we go. I got that back up on there. Shouldn't move around while I turn this bolt. It's probably gonna fall though. So I'm gonna put this down. You do want to grab all your stuff with one of your other free hands. Okay, I'm gonna have to put this down now. Okay, and really all you want to do is just make sure your fan doesn't fall. Oh my goodness. Okay, make sure your fan doesn't fall, because if it does, it might bend, it might break. Nobody wants a bent or broken fan. But you just take your 2 belts off, and I just know which ones go where on mine. It's super easy to remember, but you're going to want to remember which one came off the back and which one came off the front. For me, it's super easy, so I'm just not going to do that. I'm just going to throw them down there. And this should just pop right off. If it doesn't, beat it till it does, with a mallet preferably. Anyways, now we're down to just this wire right here. So we'll grab our wrench And that should fit just like the rest of the bolts. Alright, and it's actually one size bigger, so it's going to be a 9/16 for that one. Now that you got the right socket on there, put that on there and turn it. That'll knock her loose. And I think mine's actually too tight for me to untighten, so I got to use the ratchet the entire way. But once you get that out, you take your ground wire off. Someday, come on now. There we go. I'm actually gonna rethread this through that power wire right there so I can put my alternator farther back. Alright, there we go. Now that I got that alternator out of the way, there should be only 1, 2, 3 bolts holding this entire thing on. And then we get to deal with that hose. So I'll show you guys that in just a moment. Make sure you grab an extension if you need it. Okay, now I actually got a 1/2 inch on there. I think that's what fits these bolts. Oh, surprisingly it's not. Turns out it's also a 9/16. Just gonna focus. Wow. This phone is garbage. There we go. Alright, now we'll get these bolts off. It does not matter what order you take them off. So there's 1. Here's 2. And this one makes 3. If I can get it off there. Because I put that one on pretty tight. No, it wasn't on there tight. Just the entire pressure, the whole water system was on it. That's all. Ah, man. Hopefully this thing is not going to stay up. So you might want to use 2 hands to get this off. And that makes 3. Now, the only reason this thing is staying up is because that hose over there is still connected to it. And I'll show you how to get that off now. Alright, now, if your hose is stuck to your water pump, you're probably going to want to get a new one, and that is because it might tear. But if you're like me, you're not going to. So, if you're going to keep it, then a little easy tip someone showed me was to put some pliers, vice grips, or anything like that around this and just turn it back and forth with extreme pressure. Or do what I'm about to do. And basically what I'm going to do is take it, pull it up here, and just rip that thing out of it. Alright, I got it off. Now I'm going to show you guys what's wrong with this. So basically, well, I mean, this isn't the whole reason I'm taking it off, but basically, hear that? It's scraping in there. And I know it's the fan, and it's scraping on this back piece right here. But that's actually not the only reason. The other reason is because this is not perfectly straight. When it spins around, it made my belt just jump back and forth, jump back around. You know, it just was not spinning straight, and you can see it's actually taking a lot of force to spin this around, which is not good. Because, well, it is good. It's good if you got a new pump that takes compression force, which is like this just spinning around, but it has a little resistance to it. This, you can hear it getting stuck, which is not good. And I did try to pull it out away from the back of that and spin it, and it actually spins freely, which is not good either. So the other reason, as you probably saw with all that sealer down there, is this hole right here was not sealing, and it's still not sealing is the problem. Basically I tried to fill it with sealer. That did not work, and on top of that we figured out that the water pump was bad, so that's good too. But I'm gonna have to find another way to seal that shut. And I think what I'm going to do is actually just get some, well, obviously I'm going to get some new gaskets, but get some new gaskets to put around this, and that should just completely seal off that hole down there. Okay guys, there you have it. That's how you take off a water pump off a 350 Chevy. Really, it's basically the same process for any Chevy, but this is 350. So I figured I'd show you, or I figured I'd just say that because just in case it's not the same process. But then I told you it was, so it's not really gonna make a difference, is it? But I do know that I'm not the best mechanic around. Like, you probably shouldn't do any of the things that I do. I do a lot of reckless stuff, and that could result in your motor never running again. I'm just trying to help people out because I know when I searched up YouTube videos on how to do something, I could never find anything related to what I was going through, because I swear, every single possible problem that can happen happens to me, and then nobody shows you how to fix it. So that's basically what this channel is going to be about. But I mean, I've already taken that apart, as you could see. I mean, you could probably tell that I've already taken that water pump apart a couple times, and that's because of it not sealing up properly down there. But this time I'm going to go buy a new one, and I'll make a video on how to install that. Basically, you just reverse the process, but it is kind of hard with one person, and I'm not really going to give you any tips because I'm just stubborn and I do everything the hard way. As you can see by me dropping everything. Actually, I don't think I showed that on video, but I dropped a lot of stuff. Not the fan this time around, actually, which is pretty impressive because I dropped it the other 2 times. Guess I just got used to it. But like I said earlier, you might want to replace these hoses. Oh man, that is disgusting. It's all torn up. But that was from me using pliers to actually try and get that off. You could see I didn't use enough force. It didn't grab the inside as well. It just grabbed the outside and tore it apart. This one, I just pulled as hard as I could, and it came off. Oh, that is nasty down there. But yeah, I just pulled as hard as I could on the water pump, and it just pulled that right off. My goodness. Disgusting. But anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.